Welcome along, infinite beings. Good to have you here in the space.
Hello. Welcome back.
G'day. So today, you're pretty much going to be just a voyeur of our conversation because we've been sitting here for the last hour and we probably should have recorded the entire thing because it was actually really good. But we'll keep talking. So what transpired was overnight, Jody got me to read an email from somebody that she's been following online for quite some time, does amazing stuff online and works with other people, other businesses and stuff. So she's put a call out for a mastermind that she's doing, and don't know what the price of it will be, but I can guarantee it will be pretty exy. We're talking like multiple thousands of dollars. And as I was reading the email, I knew exactly what Jody was going to be asking me and what conversation we'll have. I was like, should we join it? So, yeah, I think it's interesting because what it brought up, as I was saying to Mandy, is the idea of stepping up in the game. So Jody and I have sort of been playing this internet marketing game for quite some time. We've been building our income online very, very slowly. And pretty much on our own, like trying to work it all out on our own. And I think this is just symbolic of what people do in different areas of their lives as well. You know, you're trying to work out your relationship, you're trying to work out the money stuff. Like, we're just not getting the help. Like, yeah, you can read stuff on the internet and piece things together. And that's pretty much what we've done over the years in terms of putting our income together. And having to learn how to create an online income, how to do marketing, like all that stuff is definitely not my background. Jody had a little bit of that sort of stuff previously, and I think she's a bit of a natural anyway. But this definitely was not my background. Coming from the police, I definitely was not into sales and marketing and seeing what people needed. So it's sort of been an interesting journey over the years, and I think I just feel tired. I'm just sort of at that stage where I really want some help with our stuff. It's not that we can't do it and we can't figure it out. Yeah, we probably could, and we have been. And I think we've done okay over the years, but it's sort of like, am I feeling now that I really just want some help with stuff? And now we're embarking on this project as well, the Infinite Me, and it's sort of like, what, I guess because this is a fresh canvas type thing, like what tack do we want to take this project now? And this, again, is symbolic of just anybody's project, any creative project you would like to get off the ground or that you feel moved, to express. It doesn't have to be big or small. It's just like, okay, I feel to put this out to the world. So it's sort of like, yeah, we've got a fresh canvas now of what we do with this business. I'm going to call it a business. And which tack do we take it type thing? Do you take it big? Do you take it small? What are you feeling? Like with it? And do you get help with that?
Yeah, I think like with the web, just thing with it, like, is this like the whole point of the project of us is to how do you live this infinite life? Like, how do you be that infiniteness and let it come through you and express and be that in the world? So we want this whole thing to be set up around that too, to be very intuitive, very in the flow, really going on the feeling of what's coming up. And so to us, at both, all the ideas that we have for this going forward involve like what feels really true to us. It feels like it's going to be a very big community of people, and it feels like it's going to have a very big exponential growth. That just feels really true. Like, and we know all the systems and the strategies to, if you want to look at it that way from a marketing perspective, like we've definitely got both the skills like around how to take this bigger. Like, there's no reason why we can't do that. But then we're kind of sitting here going, looking back, I guess, at sort of maybe like patterns, I guess, that have been showing up in our life for both of us. Some of them very similar and some, played out a little bit differently. But there's always been this sense of like doing everything yourself, like this, being really independent and working for yourself. And yes, you could kind of step back and go, well, we're both highly creative in that respect, like with what we've been able to do with very little money sometimes over the years, but still manage to do all these kind of amazing things, like, sort of traveling around the world right now. So you can come up with like, come up with solutions to what things that you want to do that don't actually cost you a lot of money. You just have to be a bit creative and put a bit of time and effort into making them work. That's the only difference. But then you sort of at one point step back and kind of go, okay, I'm a little bit tired of playing this game now. Like, it is a little bit exhausting all the time trying to work it out, which is very much come from that ego space of trying to work it out and control it.
Yeah, that's right.
So out of that space, and we definitely feel like we are stepping out of that space in a pretty big way, but then the old stuff kind of comes up. So that's where I think this conversation has been brewing a little bit overnight for both of us, by the sounds of it, is around this. You start to take that step into the infinite space and really going with the feeling of something that feels really true for you, but then it kind of two things sort of happen is what we're just sort of with identifying, is that all the resistance comes up. So the ego can kind of step up the game with all the reasons why you can't do that thing that you think you're going to do. And it shows up for me at the moment. It's really showing up in time factor, like, because that was a big thing that was coming up, which I think I addressed like 2 or 3 days ago, around the whole time game that we play. And that's been a really big thing for me. So for this particular house that they were on now, like, it's been particularly stressful house sit with just so much stuff going on. A lot of animals to look after, but just extra stuff that's come up that just isn't normally part of a house sit. And so it's been really testing my sanity in some ways, but also
love happening.
Just the time factor has been really annoying, because I really feel like we've made this decision of want to go full on into this thing, and I just feel like I'm just getting thing after thing after thing put in my way to suck up my time, like, and it's just so frustrating. And I have definitely got caught in that frustration of it, like, at, you know, judging it. So definitely the ego's taken a hold of it at times. And then I can pull myself back out of it and go, okay, I can see what's happening here. Like, this keeps manifesting on the outside because this is a thing that I keep telling myself, you know, like, I'm really annoyed with this. And so then something else happens to kind of suck up the time. And so it's kind of like there's been this backwards and forwards going a little bit the last couple of weeks, like really playing with the energy of it and getting sucked into the energy of it again, then playing with it again and getting sucked into it again. And there is that resistance part. But then we're just saying there's also this, it's almost just like a way of being that we've been this way for so long. You know, like, I'm 43 and it's kind of, that's just turned 50. So it's kind of like, you know, how many years, how many decades have we been doing this thing of like being really independent, trying to do it all ourselves, being really creative, like getting super creative with how we make things happen.
Definitely found our creativity. I feel like I found my creativity within the last, I would say the last 5 or 6 years, particularly being with Jodie, because she is highly creative and that's brought that out of me. And starting from nothing type thing, having to make this work and make this lifestyle work, it's like you become very creative.
Yeah, it's like when your back's against the wall. I mean, everyone's probably been in that situation, whether it's money or it's a different situation like time or just stress at work or whatever. Like, your back's against the wall and you do get really creative in those moments. You have to get yourself out of situations sometimes. So I'm sure everyone can relate to that, but it is this sense of like, all right, this is getting really boring now. Like, it's kind of like, I want a different experience. It's almost like you don't know how to be another way. Like, it's so ingrained in your way of thinking, which is all the stuff we've been talking about in the last few days around that. Your way of thinking and being is how you're perceiving the world. If you feel like you're the small me, which is where this has been coming from. It's like, well, I'm this little person. How can I change this pattern that feels like it's happening to me, like it's not, you know, happening for the world? And so I think that's what's just coming up. We're just sitting with that kind of going, okay, how do we relate to that way of being? What are we making that mean about us? You know, I probably do have some attachment to the creativity that comes out of it, because that is like one of the things that I do well is the creativeness, like whether it is in design and that type of thing, in imagination and coming up with really creative solutions for people. And so there is probably a value that I have on that too. So maybe part of me, this is kind of on the fly sort of thing, is like there probably is a part of me feeling like I might lose that creativity. I don't know if I have a lot of money coming in, or we grow this business big and then I'm going to be so busy I'll lose the creativity, or there's probably some story, you know, tied up in that. I don't know if you've got something similar in that, or I don't know.
I was going to sort of ask you, how do you know when it's driven by agenda, like an ego agenda to step up to the next level type thing? Because you hear that sort of thrown around quite a bit.
Yeah.
Or when it's a genuine feeling of like, no, it's time. Like,
yeah. The thing that I would say that I just heard really recently, and it really landed because it was so simple, was the way you can tell is that the ego needs to do things, whereas the infinite part of you doesn't need anything. It has everything. It is everything. It doesn't need it. So if you look at, you step back and you kind of go, okay, I want to do X. And then if there's any part of you, like even if it's like 5%, that's like, no, I really need this to happen this way, or that type of thing, then that's how you kind of know it's the ego. It's like, because it feels like it has to happen that way. Like it's, whereas you're not just open to anything happening and being okay with whatever pans out, having money, no money, losing your house. Like it doesn't, you're sort of going with the flow and being in that moment, because another infinite potential is going to present when you're in the moment, when you're in that space, and not judging it to hold it in place. Whereas the ego will be going, I need to get out of this situation because its actual survival feels at stake.
Right. So is it like the case for, say, this coaching program, me feeling into the fact that I would like some help, like that feels true for me type thing? I don't need it. I mean, I can do it myself. Like I have been doing it myself. But just that feeling of like, I just want to do it differently for a change.
I would say like you sit with, because there might be two parts playing out. I don't know. This is where you would sit with it and see. But there probably is a true part of you that kind of goes, no, I'd really like some help and support. Like, and that feels true because it's going to help me get to this next level. And I'd really
that does feel that feels
somebody that's ahead of the game for me, someone that's done the thing that I want to do and has the experience and kind of help me and give me the insights and the speed up my process a little bit. And then you could kind of look at the part and say, okay, well, is there a part of me that thinks that's better to grow faster and to have that results and have the big business? Is there any like attachment to that? That would be ego kind of thing, like if it's coming from that angle.
Seriously.
So it would be two parts.
I'm not feeling that. Like I don't have any great desire to have a massive business or anything. But if it goes to that stage, it doesn't worry me. And like you, I can see it as that already. So it's not like I have a desire to get there, because I think, to me, like the different things we've spoken about over the years, the different projects you want to roll out, and we've talked about big centers and moving expos and all sorts of things that will be a part of this project eventually. An island and all sorts of things we've talked about, like really cool shit. Sort of almost feels done, like it's already done, because we've seen it so clearly over the years, and it still feels like it's there. So do I have a desire for it? No, because I don't need it. I don't need to have a desire for it. So it is a very different feeling.
So I think that would be the difference between that, when it is a true feeling that's coming from the infinite part of you and it just wants to express that into the world. I would say that both you and I, just the ideas we've spoken about, where we see this project going, like we're only just doing some Facebook Lives at the moment, but we haven't even got started.
Now we're talking about traveling the world with an expo.
We haven't actually really shared all that yet. We will be probably in the coming week, sort of thing. Like that's what we're sort of working towards getting, how do we get all this stuff out there, deliver it. And that's sort of, I guess, why this topic is coming up for us, because it's a bit like, we can do it. Like we've both got the skills, like to do it. There's no question at all about that. Like we've done the work, we've done the study, like it's just now the actual steps doing it. But there is that sort of sense of, it's almost like I saw somebody speaking the other day, and they were expressing kind of an appreciation for a system that they'd learned, kind of saying if it wasn't for this person creating this system, it was around sales and marketing funnels and things like that. But the guy was basically saying this feeling that he had inside him of wanting to help a whole bunch of men and speak. He wanted to just get this feeling out of him and speak, and he knew he could really impact these men and help them. But he just felt like he didn't know how to get that happening, because he lacked kind of the marketing, knowledge, skills to get it out. So this system came along that really helped him to kind of deliver it, systemize the whole thing for him so that he could just impact more people in one go. And it was sort of around that. It's like, okay, there is this desire within probably us to express sort of certain creativity, but we probably don't have the systems in place right now to do that. And it feels a little bit like, well, we could do it. Like, we know how to do it, and we sort of are doing it behind the scenes. We have been setting up a whole bunch of stuff, but it also just feels a bit like, is it meant to be us that does it? Like, it doesn't really feel that inspiring to do all that stuff. We could do it. It's not our passion, really, probably, to really, this is our passion, talking about this stuff and the diving into this and, probably doing some coaching with people. Like, that's the stuff that really kind of juices us up. So
yeah, definitely it is. So I think it is about identifying what we do love to do. And this is like the typical sort of business startup type issue that comes up, is like, there is so much to do, but you don't have the money to outsource it to somebody else. So what do you do? I don't have the answer to that. But it's sort of just really interesting to be in this space of seeing what you should be doing because it feels true for you, and that's what you're inspired to do, and where your level of expertise is. But then there's a whole bunch of back-end stuff that needs to be done and put into place as well. So I do agree, and I think part of this contemplating the coaching program is that we would be pushed to outsource some of the stuff, get 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 people on board to help us, distribute the content. Just simple things like that each day would take the pressure off to then be able to develop more products and get out in front of people more, which is where we should be. That's what feels true for us right now, to be talking more about this stuff. So it's and maybe there's a part of me that's a bit nervous about jumping in. Well, we don't even have the money for the coaching program. That's the whole point. So this is sort of an interesting conversation to be having in the first place, of contemplating something where you don't have the resources to necessarily invest in it. But I'm not letting that stop me right now. I'm really moving past what's playing out in reality, what's presenting in reality, to really feel into the truth of, should I just be on this coaching program? Is this the path?
Well, it's about the decision, isn't it? It's about the decision, something, and that true feeling. I mean, I had this experience about 12, 18 months ago where I embarked on a 10-month coaching program, high-level coaching program, which had a very significant investment in it. And at the time, I definitely did not have the money in my bank account, but I could not deny this feeling of this calling that I had to do. I wanted this assistance, like this high-level support, and it was so true in my heart. Like, I could not deny this feeling. And so I had to kind of go down that line of just exploring, like going, okay, what would it look like if I did do this? Like, and actually just have that conversation, allow yourself to actually almost speak it out loud. Kind of go, I actually really want to do this. Like, and I know it sounds absolutely ridiculous to anybody else. My husband at the time was
playing with the infinite. It's ridiculous.
My husband definitely was not happy about it at all. In fact, we probably almost split up over it. So it's kind of like it's interesting, but I was willing to go there because it was kind of like, no, I cannot deny this feeling in my heart. Like, I have to follow it through. So it led to some really hard conversations, like extremely hard conversations. And I had to let go of how it was actually kind of unfold. I just had to have that decision, and it kind of did. Like, it all kind of unfolded. Like, it just, like, the conversations had to be had that moved the energy around it, and then stuff started to come in from the outside, and like, I started to put myself out there a little bit more, which I hadn't been doing. I'd kind of been hiding away a little bit, and so it sort of pushed me to kind of do that. That felt true, and so I started taking all those steps of things that I would not normally have done, but I was being moved to do these things. And so sometimes it is just about that. It's just that, it's what I guess we've been talking about a lot, is that it is based all on that feeling of what feels true coming through you. And then it's the head stuff that kicks in and kind of goes, oh, well, I don't have the money, or that doesn't make sense, or I could do it myself, or X, Y, Z, whatever comes up, like it's going to come up with a million things. But it is like, what is that true feeling? That's my only job, if there is a job to do, is to sit with that feeling and do the next thing that comes through me that feels true. Yeah. So in my case, having a conversation with the coach, with the mentor, and that kind of felt really scary, because it was kind of like, oh my God, if I have this conversation, does that mean I have to kind of commit? Even though they say there's no obligation, but you still have this sense of like, oh my God, I don't want to take that next step because you know, whatever you come up with that you think that's going to mean, sort of thing. But you know, maybe I'm going to feel like I really, really want to do the thing, but I just can't make it happen, and then I'm going to be really disappointed. So I'm not going to go down that line of having the conversation. You know, so you sort of deny yourself that experience of that as well. So yeah, so it's just interesting. I don't know, just sitting with that. If it doesn't feel like a need, like I don't think you need to do the marketing program, because you could actually make it work. You know, yeah, like you know the skills and you could make it work. It's just going to take probably longer because, you know, that's probably the reality of it. It's like you could make it work. But is there the, you know, so it's not like you need to do the program, but the desire might be there just because it would be really cool to have some help and support, because that's going to actually help get this expression out of you that you want to spread in the world, and you don't want to have to deal with all the stuff that just doesn't really excite you very much, whereas that does excite somebody else. So maybe
I think it's interesting because, like you just talking then, I don't think it's even about those questions, because that feels like it's still tied to reality. It's like, that's just all, you know, like, I want to get some help and I want to outsource and I want to learn how to do this. And like, to me, that's all like, just hearing you now, that's what was coming up, was like, it's still to do with reality.
Yeah.
So that's not even it. So like, here I am, like, justifying it just 10 minutes ago, going, yeah, I'd like some help and all that sort of stuff. That's actually not it. That's not what I want. What I actually want is to move to the next level.
Yeah.
That's what's feeling. And it doesn't have to be with Julie's course.
Yes.
Program. It could be anything. But that's the driver right now, is like, I feel like I need a big shake up and a big decision on something, like a decision on something that's big, that I perceive as big. It's probably not big to other people. Like, who cares? I want to be the coaching. Okay, I'll pay for it. There you go. Done. But to me, it's big. Or to us. So, and even to you, because it impacts you as well. So it's sort of like that's what I'm feeling I need, is like to make a big decision that's going to really push me out of my comfort zone right now, and into a space of, again, the infinite, the nothingness, because I don't have any concept of what that's going to be. So I guess that's sort of like what happens, isn't it? Is that you become familiar with your level of the game, and then you have this pull or this feeling of like wanting to play the next level of the game, and so you take whatever action that is, make a decision on something, and then suddenly that you're into the infinite again, because you don't have a concept of what that looks like in the next level of the game, because you've never been there. So, you know, I've not been where I've had $1 million in the bank or the freedom to do whatever I want. I haven't played that game. I can feel into what that would feel like. Like, yeah, I can visualize it and stuff, and I've done plenty of that. Like, I can definitely feel what that feels like, and it feels really cool. It feels really free. But I've not had that in reality right now. I've not experienced that in this lifetime. So
from a money perspective, I'm just thinking, I suppose that's the thing that drove that decision. Well, I wouldn't say drive that decision, because that sounds a bit like it was coming from the ego, but like just that feeling to join that coaching program. It wasn't about getting anything specifically from it. Like, a lot of people that went into that program definitely have in their mind like an expectation of like, oh, my business is going to explode, or this is going to happen, my relationship's going to really improve, or whatever you think is going to happen out of it. So you go into something with an expectation. But I really tried to let go of any expectation, because I had no idea what was going to happen. I just knew that there was this feeling that I was following, that I wanted to feel more expansive. Like, that was truly it at the end of the day. It's like, I want to play at next level. I want to play at another level in terms of my attachment to life and how it's showing up. And I want to just actually go with the flow of stuff and feel like that inner peace. Like, a lot of people talk about that inner peace. Like, it doesn't matter what's going on around you. You can stay like the center of the storm. That's what I wanted, like, because that's what I felt I didn't have. Like, and it's and so I didn't do it out of a need for wanting that. It was just it was a true calling of like, no, it's time to step it up. Like, I want some help with this. I want someone to sort of exponentiate my journey, and which is what happened. So it's kind of I can say on the outside some things have changed, but also some things probably haven't really changed. Like, but on the inside, I feel completely different. And that's the thing that matters the most to me, is like how I'm relating to everything in life is the absolute most important thing for me at the end of the day. So following that feeling, just being unattached to how that shows up on the outside. But now it's showing up, I guess this is where this conversation was coming up, as like it is now showing up as like, no, there's actually a true desire to step it up now to another level. But there is the old operating system that's running still, and it's kind of like, oh, I'm not quite sure how to step out of that fully in the physical. Like it feels like it pulls you back and shows up. And as I said, for me, time stuff a lot. It's like it's kind of just running up against old stuff coming up. So a lot of it is just that. It's not there to engage. It's just old stuff, you know.
And I think that's it. That's the important thing. Like if you are going to move to the next level, if you feel that calling to step it up and move to the next level, then expecting that to happen, like for old stuff to come up, old patterns and feelings and emotions and situations, even they'll actually recreate themselves in reality again over and over again. You think, oh shit, like I thought I dealt with this, like I want to move on, like why am I running into this again type thing. Having no money, or having the same argument with my partner, or having the same issues at work and stuff like that. That's like, God, will this ever end? Like but it might be, I remember hearing about this ages ago, where the differentiation between ego and old patterns. So that the ego is the parts of you that you haven't yet acknowledged and actually seen. So once you've actually identified it, so you go, oh, this is an old pattern of mine. Like I can see how I buy into this story, or this triggers me.
So I have awareness around them. You
have an awareness of something. Then it's not ego anymore. So the ego is the unaware part. But once it's actually seen and you've identified it and you've spoken it out loud, or you've written it in your journal, or you've just thought about it and gone, oh, okay, I can see this happening again. Then it's not ego. It's actually just old patterns at that point. So if more stuff comes up, then it is just releasing. It has to come up. Because when we think about it, like, if we're all energy and we have a physical form type thing, then the body is the last thing to actually let go of, because it's so dense in energy. It's the last thing to actually release, which is why we feel those physical releases at times of different things. Like it might be energetic. I do a lot of tiredness. I do a lot of breathing. So every now and then I'll be like, like I probably do that all the time. Like it must drive. I've never asked Jodie actually, but I do that when I think about it thousands of times a day.
Well, we all do that. We all breathe thousands of times.
We actually all breathe. All right. No wonder she hasn't noticed it. No, it's just that.
That heavy like that. I do that sometimes too. It just feels like you just got to let everything go, and a big breath.
Let it go. Yeah, or you can feel it. I can feel it rising up, and everyone will have a different experience. But I can actually feel the old energy rise up and then release. That's all it is. But yeah, it's I guess the body is the last thing to let go of the old patterns and stuff. So we do feel achy or tired, or having to do that physical release, and that's why people do rituals and movement, dance, body movement and stuff like that to help release that stuff. Exercise can help.
The thing that was coming to me actually, just as you're saying that, the breathing it reminded me of, I noticed this with animals a lot, dogs and cats in particular. Just as they're getting settled, they're in their bed and they might already have their eyes closed, but then they do this last big final like and they really settle in, and that's it, they fall asleep. So there is this like sense of like releasing whatever energy was kind of going through them, and they're like, no, it's time for bed now. And I've also think too that when animals go through a very like scary situation, so like maybe they're about to be attacked by an animal and they get away, they often go through like a physical release. So they'll stand there and they'll actually shake it out. So they say horses do this a lot as well. They actually have something that gets their adrenaline right up, and then they shake it out of their body, and then they're back to normal. So it's almost like a regulator thing that they know to do in their system.
So I've definitely observed the release of a dog or a cat, like as they lay down. And then they fall asleep. Like it's kind of like, it almost feels like it's just that they know instinctively to release energy that's just, energy of the day or whatever. I'm sure this is maybe not a conscious process for them, but it is that instinctual process that, like I said, when animals go through the scared process, they know that they've got to release it out of the nervous system. So there is something around that, releasing it out of the nervous system and not
attaching it to it, like getting it out of your body, and that's it. Like that's it. You let it go. You know, it's the same with being angry. Sometimes I suppose sometimes it's better to just be angry and let it out rather than suppress it in your body as well. I mean, it doesn't mean you just say whatever you want to people too, like if it's coming from ego or something like that. But like sometimes you just got to get something out because it's just got to come out. It feels true in the moment. You need to say it. You get it out of your body. Your nervous system relaxes again. Like so there's something around that as well, I think too. So some of it is like just the old stuff coming up to kind of just go. And then I would say for me, for example, this week, or not this week, just the past few weeks, all this stuff that's coming up around time, and so much stuff has just been coming up like to take up time, like all these like I don't know, scenarios that I couldn't even like imagine in a million years. Like it's just like weird stuff has been happening. Like found this little native animal stuck in a rabbit trap the other day, like under this bunch of leaves, just as it was like getting on dusk when I was feeding the goats, and was in this most inaccessible corner of the yard under a tree, as they always kind of are. So eventually managed to get this little bandicoot out of the rabbit trap and rang wildlife rescue and arranged to come and pick them up and stuff. But then got talking to the owners, and it's kind of like they didn't even know they had a rabbit trap, and they've been living here for 20 years. So this rabbit trap has been set obviously under this tree and has been covered up by leaves or whatever else. So it's like, what are the chances of this bandicoot going into this rabbit trap? I happen to be there back at the, it just like, it was just
right there.
But like that scenario took up like 4 hours out of the night. By the time I rescued the bandicoot, rang the wildlife people, drove to meet the wildlife people so I could drop the bandicoot off. Like it was just like things like that. It's just like stepping back. It's just like, am I creating all these things to like take up my time? Like
so you can't get to the work that you want to do.
Yeah, it's like there's all these. Yeah, as I said, like just scenarios I would never have imagined that happening. It's just kind of like way beyond anything that I, it's really creative if that's what I did come up with. But,
take up time.
Yeah, but the thing I think I've been seeing the most out of it is like there is definitely a pattern that was that needed to happen. It was sort of something I've been a little bit aware of, but not obviously doing something about. So it's almost like it had to ramp up. Like consciousness had to ramp up the energy for me so that I could really see what I was doing and creating. And so for me, what I was seeing is that I keep putting everybody else and everything else first before me in general. So whether that's just general self-care, and also the thing that I say I really, really want to be doing. I keep putting everything else in front of it. I'll just do this thing first and then I'll get time to sit down. I won't get my shower now. I'll go and feed the animals first. Like just, seem like really innocuous, small decisions. But like when you look at the ramifications of them, because I keep saying obviously to the universe, no, it's not important right now. This is more important. No, that's not important right now. This is more important. I've just got to fix this problem over here first.
I'll keep giving you stuff that's like not, like just like rabbit traps and stuff. Like it's almost like that.
Fixing problems and saving people, and like I'm very good at saving people. Like that's definitely has been a pattern, throughout my life, which I don't think I do to anywhere near the degree I used to. But it used to be definitely like anything to keep the peace, avoid the conflict. If I can help somebody out so that they don't feel stressed out, that type of a scenario. So I don't feel that so much running me anymore, but there is definitely still that sense of like just putting things before. It just feels like an old pattern. Actually, it doesn't feel like there's a lot of energy in it, like in terms of I feel like I need to save people. It's not around that. It just feels like it's a really old way of being, and I haven't shifted it. I haven't paid enough attention to it to make it less important, if that makes sense.
But now it's coming up, and it's almost like the scenario with the rabbit trap was so ridiculous when you think about it. 20 years it's been sitting there, and nothing else has gone into that trap in 20 years. Like
it's just in a normal part of the yard. So like their cats could have gone into it. That's the ridiculous thing about it. It's just like it's just sitting under a tree. Like it's just, but like a little bit hidden in the corner. So it's not like right out in the yard, but it is in their main yard. So it's kind of like it's not like it was down in the bush somewhere, or it's like it's just a weird scenario. Like you said, anything could have gone into that, but it didn't. It happened to be the moment that I walked over to that corner. And it's just like, okay. And like you said, it happened on dusk, so like it's getting really dark. You can't see anything. It's in this really awkward spot to get to as well. So it's just like I'm crawling under this bloody tree and like getting stuck in like blackberry bushes, and it's just like, it was just, I was almost laughing at the scenario, going, did I have to make this so difficult? Like seriously, like this was just like getting a bit beyond the joke now. Like, but it was,
But
it was almost laughable, and that's the
the
point.
thing. It's getting beyond.
It does become laughable. You
Yeah, it's getting so ridiculous.
This is so exaggerated. This has to be showing me something right now because it's just ridiculous. And that's kind of the point I got to. It's just like, all right, this has been going on for a few weeks now, these scenarios that just keep coming up that just feel really, or they're really stressful. Like, and I've got to this almost breaking point. It's like, this is not like me. Like, I'm not.
Yeah.
It takes a lot to get me to that point, and I've just kind of got to that breaking point a few times, and I'm just like, all right, there's something up with this. Like, so that's where sometimes it does serve to dive in a little bit to stuff that's going on, you know, like just to see, it makes itself obvious. That's the point. You don't have to sit there and analyze things, but it makes it self obvious when there is something to see. And so that's what I look at. And so there is for me a little bit now around this, like, okay, how do I be different? Because I've been this way for 43 years. So it's like, I've got to start making really conscious about even just things like, no, I will jump in the shower now rather than do it in 10 minutes. Like, I'll do those things that put me first. It's almost like I have to convince myself that I'm okay to put first or something on some level. I don't know. So,
yeah, it is interesting. Like, I had to shift. I had the same sort of thing, like lots of different things to take care of, whole ranges of things that would stop me from getting into the work that I really wanted to do. And this was ages ago.
Yeah.
And I remember making that conscious decision, and I went, no, I'm not going to answer emails. I'm not getting on Facebook. I just shut all of it down. And I just blocked the world out. I just went, I'm not doing anything other than this work first. Like, because normally I would go and I'd check Facebook and do my emails in the morning first thing.
Yeah.
And I'm back doing doing that to clear the decks, because that gives me a clear mind. Everything else is taken care of now. I can get on with work. And that's working for me now. But before that, where there was so much to deal with, like I would spend half the day, and I know you talk about this, man. Most days gone before you even get 1 ounce of work done that you want to get done. Like, it's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's like, for fuck, like, how do we get to that? Like, like now I'm just about to sit down and start my work for the day. Like, this is ridiculous. So I actually had to really consciously put that first and go, I don't care what else is going on in the world. I am getting on with my work for the first few hours at least, and then I'll deal with everything else. And it worked. It finally shifted that whole thing. So now
your system, don't you?
Really, I don't have any distractions hardly at all. People needing me for different things, or lots of emails or whatever. Like, and then I would unsubscribe from emails and stuff. Like, I really purposely cut out all the stuff that was taking my time that was not worth it. I'm making that solid decision to say, this is important to me now. And it does work. It's definitely a process, but it does work. Yeah.
Yes, I don't know, maybe with this scenario, then with the, you know, you're asking around the coaching program and things, it is just a matter of sitting with, just sit with it more, as keep observing what's coming up around, and if it feels like it's coming from ego, then you sit with that feeling that's coming up that feels like ego, and just be with that feeling. Don't judge it. Don't don't make it mean anything. Just let it dissolve away, and then see what the true feeling underneath it is, whether it's, no, I just actually want to take that next step. This feels like it's the next step. And
I think that's the stage I'm at, sort of thing. Like, I don't feel like I have a lot of ego around it. It just feels like I'm ready for that next level, but I'm not attached to it being Julie's course either, coaching program. Like, it could come from anywhere. That's what's presenting right now. Might present something else now. I've made that decision.
So I guess the aspect around that would be then if it's right now, if you have to sign up for it, okay, I don't physically have the money in my bank account, then I guess it's that feeling. This is where that infinite thing comes in, I suppose, is that all you got to do is make that decision. I want to do this program, and then you just watch what comes up. So it's like, watch what presents for you to do. Like, it might mean you take an action that then brings some income in, or some income comes in some unexpected way that you didn't
anyway.
Like, you don't have to know where that money is coming from right now. Like, that's the thing. It's just like all you got to do is make the decision. It's like, yep, I want to do the program. No, I don't want to do the program. That's it. Like,
and right now I don't know the answer to that. So I feel like my next step is, and sometimes I 100% agree with you, man. I think that's important. Like, I do know the answer.
Sometimes
and
you don't want to
just make the decision, and that's it. And then other times I don't. Like, right now, I don't know that I want to do it or not. But I have enough interest to actually fill out the application. So that's what I'll feel like I'll do.
You
and I
do
think
the
there's
next
a
step
process you
presenting.
go through, and then you've got to talk to Julie and go through that process as well. So I would continue on that process until it doesn't feel right. And if it does feel right and that process feels right to continue on, and I get into the program, then it's like, okay, we'll figure it out. Like, well, not figure it out, but obviously that is meant to unfold that way, and so the money will be there. Like, I don't have to worry about the money. Like, if it feels right to be in the course, then the money will be there. I know that.
It is that thing of doing the next step that's presenting. Like I was saying, like for me, deciding to do that program, the next step was to have the conversation with the coach. I think we had multiple conversations like we did. We had like 2-hour multiple conversations, which were really helpful in themselves. And there was no obligation for me to go forward from there, but it still felt really, really true, even though it was like absolutely scary as hell to my ego to take that next step, because I knew the things that I'd have to kind of do to move out of my comfort zone. And that's all it was comfort zone stuff. So it was just the whole ego. So it's kind of, to my soul, it was expansive. So that's the difference you can feel too, is that when it feels really expansive, it might feel scary to your personality, but it feels really expansive to your soul.
And that's what I said to Jody. It's like, whichever way we go with it, like, we have to go with the one that feels most expansive to us right now. And that might be not doing it, but it might be doing it. So it's like going with the most expensive. I 100% agree with that. It's always the right decision is always to be what's the most expensive.
And I was going to say, that next thing that's presenting to do, like, that's all you need to do is that next little thing. And it's thing that I've heard that I find really helpful is that it's always a yes until it's a no. So it's kind of like you just keep saying yes to that next step until it's like, no, this is a no now. Like, this doesn't feel true anymore.
And that might have happened in your course because you had conversations with Jennifer, which were free, no obligation type thing, and you might have got to the end of that and went, okay, I got what I needed out of that. That's cool. And I did that just recently with a consult. It was like, I didn't continue with the subscription after that because I got what I needed. Like, I knew that, and it was like, no, actually, I'm done now.
And so I've done that. I've had a call with somebody, same thing. It's just like, got to the end, it's like, no, I don't feel like I need what you're offering now. I just felt like that conversation needed to happen to shift that energy around it. And now I feel like, no, I know where I'm going to put my energy. This.
Where I'm going to go now.
And that's all fine too. It's just like, well, it's all just there to experience at the end of the day. So just have that experience. Let yourself have the experience that you're wanting to have. Like, that's all you're being asked to do, is have the experience, see what comes up, observe what comes up, and take the next step if it feels true. If it doesn't, then that's it. Maybe that's all you're meant to get out of it, is to notice that doubt that you had around that thing, or to notice that pattern you had around this. Maybe that's all it was about, So move through another level of.
I really like what you said about it's always a yes until it's a no. Like, that really sums it up, because I've been a big proponent of the yes, but I'm also a big proponent of the no. And I like that process. Like, I've never really thought about that before, but that's a really cool way of looking at it. It's always a yes until it's a no.
The head wants to jump in so quickly to sort of shoot down our feelings. Like, we've all had these true feelings come through. It's not like, I'm sure everybody can relate to something where they just felt like, oh my God, I really want to do that thing. Like, even if it feels like really left field or completely out of your comfort zone, but this is something that's like, yeah, that'd be so cool. But then straight away, it's like, it's nanosecond, like the head kicks in and tries to talk you out of it. All the reasons why you can't do it or shouldn't do it, or this might happen and that might happen, and which we've touched on in all the other videos. It's that kind of, it's really trying to just, okay, strip it right back to go, well, what was that feeling? It's like, okay, it was a yes to that thing. I was like, okay, we'll just sit with that feeling of, yeah, I want to do this thing. And you don't have to know how it's going to unfold. Like, that's the stupid thing. We try to sort of work it out how it's going to unfold, whereas that's not actually part of what we're here to do. It's like, we're here just to follow
our job.
We're just here to sit with that feeling and see what the next thing is that wants to be expressed, and do that. Like, so that's where it's a yes and a no. It's like, just keep saying yes to that next little thing that comes up, or it could be a big step, like whatever's presenting.
No, I like that. That's cool. I'm going to fill out the application and start the process. See what happens. That feels true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'd regret it if I didn't go down that line. So to me, that's always the flip side question I ask myself for, like,
Yeah, that's true.
will
Yeah.
I feel relief if I don't do this, or will I feel regret that I won't if I don't do it? And that's always makes it easy to tune into, I suppose.
Yeah, I've actually heard something that just reminded me of. I've heard a practice that people have has said you could try out, like you sort of try on a decision. Like if you're really sort of struggling to
Try on a decision. That's good.
yeah, like if you're really struggling to sort of decide, like, and it sounds like it could be a bit a bit of a head game when you're saying I'm trying to decide which way to go. But if you really like got an intuitive feeling, but you're not really clear on it because you've just maybe never really tapped into your intuition very much and you haven't followed it very much, so it's not really loud, like it because it doesn't.
Or you've got a lot of head stuff coming up.
Yeah, you got a lot of head stuff, and you're used to kind of doing stuff a lot that way, and so your intuition never speaks to you very loudly. It's just a little quiet knowingness that you feel. So you do have to learn to tap into it, to listen to it and follow it is the big thing. But the more you follow it, the louder it does get, the stronger that feeling is too. So, but I've heard the thing about trying on a decision. So like I've heard this around people, say, wanting to have children. This is actually where I think the scenario I heard this from was that pretend for a week that, let's use that scenario of deciding whether to have a baby or not have a baby, and you can see all these pros and cons, so or maybe one partner is more wanting to than the other or something, so you kind of go, okay, well, just pretend for a week that you've made the decision, yep, we're going to have a baby. You just go out into the world with this, knowing this, like, yep, this is what we're going to do, and just notice what you notice. Like, so you tend to notice other pregnant people around you, you tend to notice kids playing in a park, you tend to just have conversations with your partner around it. You start to look at baby shops, or you're just naturally drawn to that thing because you started this excitement. It's sort of driven, inside of you. And then you do another week, you do the following, or a couple of days, whatever you want to do. But you try on the other thing. Go, no, not going to have kids. Okay, never going to have kids. That's our decision. And then you go about your life and just see what happens and notice, like, oh, actually, I feel like I've got a lot of freedom actually, like this week, and I can just choose and do whatever I want at the drop of a hat. Or you just notice how, like, oh, that kid over there is really annoying you. Like, you just don't know if you could, like things like that would start to come up, and you just got to sit back and notice what's coming up. So I've heard that happen. I have tried that actually as well. Like, it does work because it's just interesting what you're drawn to and what you see in a situation. Sometimes you just walk away from that and kind of go, no, I know 100% what I've got to do.
I know, I definitely do.
Yeah, it's like, it's not that it wouldn't be okay and you could make it work and you wouldn't enjoy it on some level. It's not about that. It's just more like whether it's actually the next true thing for you to do in this lifetime, because like there's so many, we can't have every experience that exists in this world. It's just impossible. So you've got to go with the things that really call you, like do the things that fill you up, that you love to do, that you just can't wait to do. Those type of things, they're the ones that you want to follow. Like it's
very cool. So I guess the question for anyone watching this is, have you got a big decision to make? Can you step it up? Is that what you're feeling? How do you make your decisions? What do you feel when you make decisions? Can you see areas of your life where stuff is actually coming up sort of repeatedly? Have you seen them or not seen them yet, type thing? Have you been becoming aware of those things? And if so, are they just all patterns that are coming up? It's interesting. So I'll keep you posted about what happens with this. It's cool. But thank you, man. Lots of cool insights, lots of ponderings. I think that was a really good session.
Well, I think it's
like I was on the couch.
We didn't know what we were going to talk about today. We said, let's just have a conversation. I think we also said at the beginning, we'll just keep it short today, and then we've gone like the longest we've actually.
50 minutes. Blimey. That's ridiculous. Where did our 50 minutes go?
In some ways, I guess it just shows you when you're in the flow with what you want to do, it doesn't, it's irrelevant what happens with
time. Is nothing.
It feels like 5 minutes, that kind of thing. It feels like it's going on.
It's ridiculous. Right, we're going to go. Our housekeeper's here, so just trying to work around this. Cool. All right. Well, we'll chat again tomorrow.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. See you then.
Yeah.
Bye.